Okay, this is your first multi-voice examination at 140 words per minute. Your proper names are Mr. Phillips, Mr. Randy Evans, Mr. Keith Lewis, St. Paul, Minnesota, Henry Ray Betancourt, Mr. Dresden, Mr. Evans, case number 4-3380, Marvin Dresden, St. Paul County Clerk's Office, and Richie's. Are we going to say the dash, or should we just read it 43380? Probably dash, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I am Mrs. Delaney.
The witness,
The court.
Mrs. Delaney.
the witness,
The court.
Ready? All right, sir. Now, you told Mr. Phillips that there was a conversation between Mr. Randy Evans and Mr. Keith Lewis concerning these exhibits, which took place between the first and second trip you made to St. Paul, Minnesota. Is that correct?
that is right.
And that conversation took place after you had made the trip to St. Paul, Minnesota with Henry Ray Betancourt. Is that right?
That is right.
Now, when was that conversation?
It was shortly after Betancourt had been arrested.
All right, sir. Was that the first time that you had a conversation with Mr. Evans concerning the taking of these exhibits from the county clerk's office?
That was the first time I had any conversation with him in regards to it. Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, Mr. Dresden, what did Mr. Evans say, and what did you say?
He told me that it would be worth $2,500 for him to have the exhibits placed on his desk, delivered to him.
What did you say?
I told him if I couldn't do it, I could find somebody that would do it.
What did he say?
He agreed to it,
He agreed to what?
to either my doing it or having someone else do it. He said he didn't care who done it. Said if I wanted to, I could farm the job out to somebody else and take a cut off of the top, pay them what I wanted to, and they could have everything they wanted on the inside other than the exhibits.
You say that was the first conversation you had with him?
Yes.
Very well. Your Honor, does the court have the file in case number 4-3380?
Number 14.
If not, could we ask that the bailiff get it? And I will let this matter go until it is over here, because I am going to refer to the transcript, and I think the court should have it. Your Honor, I will pass that then.
All right.
Did you ever have a conversation with anyone else concerning an alleged offer to you by Mr. Evans on the exhibits?
Just my little brother Marvin, to my recollection.
Is that Marvin Dresden?
Yes.
And when did you tell Marvin?
Well, he had obtained several traffic citations. He wasn't working, and I told him that I had had an offer of $2,500 to burglarize the St. Paul County Clerk's office, and if he wanted to go with me, that I would split with him. He could take care of his tickets.
What did he say to this, Mr. Dresden?
He agreed to it.
Now, sir, that was the sole purpose of the third trip then. Is that right? Say yes or no, because the reporter,
Yes.
that is the night that you sawed on the lock for about 15 seconds.
Yes.
Now, when you came back with Mr. Evans to his residence and laid the gun on the table, did you go across the street to your car and open the trunk of your automobile?
Yes, I did.
Any particular reason why you did that?
To make it look like it had been broken into.
Well, had there been any discussion about a stolen gun that night?
Yes.
What was that conversation?
I don't recall the exact conversation. We was coming back from Richie's house that night that my gun was going to be stolen.
What else did he say, if anything, Mr. Dresden?
I am thinking about it.
Okay, very well.
As I recall, there hadn't been any mention of the gun being stolen. Richie didn't want it to be known that he had my gun. I opened the trunk and then jammed the door of the glove compartment. In the event that anyone would ask me about the gun, I could say that my glove compartment had been broken into and the gun was taken.
So he didn't talk about the stolen gun that night, correct?
No.
Think about it.
Well, yeah. Yes, sir.
Did you tell anybody that you sold this gun to Mr. Evans prior to your discussion of the matter with the officers?
My
Okay, this is your second multi-voice time writing at 140 words per minute. Your proper names are Mr. Olivas, Garcia, Ramos, and Montes.
Which names did you say, Camille?
Mr. Olivas, Garcia, Ramos, and Montes. That's the second one for you. Oh yeah, look right here. That's it. Because I haven't announced
Oh,
yet.
sorry. I was like,
Oh, that's okay. Okay, so I'm Mr. Cher.
I'm the witness.
You want to see Mr. Hasford.
Hosford. Thank you. I'm Mr. Cher.
The witness.
Mr. Hosford.
Ready? Okay, you recognize that if you had been discussing that might be some type of legal violation.
Discussion of what?
Discussing that he had a workers' compensation claim. You recognize that would be illegal, correct?
I don't know that I recognize it. No, sir.
How many times did you discuss with the others that Mr. Olivas had physical or medical restrictions?
Who are the others, sir?
Garcia, Ramos, Montes, or anyone else?
At the time that Mr. Olivas worked for me, he had no disabilities ever noted to me.
I object as non-responsive. How many times, the morning of March 30th until the last warning where you recommended termination, did you discuss that Mr. Olivas was under doctor's care?
None. I did not know that he was until the end of the 31st.
Did you ever dock Mr. Olivas for the second one?
I never made that recommendation.
Did you ever give Mr. Olivas the second warning with enough time so he could clear up his problems?
I don't know what problems he has, sir.
Isn't the reason that you have a 4-step process prior to terminating an employee to give them a chance?
I don't know what the reason is, sir. I was not the one who drafted the policy.
Okay, isn't the purpose of a progressive disciplinary system so that you have the opportunity to treat your employees fairly?
I assume that's part of it.
And to give, just like a kid in class, if they do something wrong, you give them a chance to correct their behavior.
I'm sure that's part of the reason.
And that you try to work with your employees so that if they have problems in doing their job, they can learn from their mistakes.
Again, I was not there when it was drafted. A lot of them are on assumption.
Isn't the reason that you have this progressive system so instead of getting rid of employees, that you can work with them and try to correct their behavior?
I'm going to object to the form of the question. The witness indicated that she wasn't present when the policy was made and did not take part of the policy, so her answers are speculation. You may answer the question.
The question again?
Isn't a progressive disciplinary system there for the purpose of trying to correct the behavior of your employees rather than getting rid of them?
Again, I do not know what the purpose was for the policy and how it was written.
In this instance, did you go through and give Mr. Olivas the proper disciplinary procedures on the second and third warnings to give him a chance to correct his behavior?
I'll object to the question in the sense that the word proper is not defined, and the witness would be speculating as to what proper was. Go ahead and answer the question.
At the time of the warnings, there was the conference held on the second one, but as to the third one, no.
So you never really did give Mr. Olivas the proper discipline in accordance with your district policy to try to correct his behavior, correct?
Again, I object to the form of the question in the use of proper in the definition of that. You may answer the question.
I spoke to Mr. Olivas numerous times prior to the written warning. What is proper for you may not be the same for me.
Did you follow your district's procedure in terminating Mr. Olivas?
I'm going to object to the form of the question. She has not terminated, or did she terminate Mr. Olivas?
I made a recommendation for termination. I feel I followed the policy as outlined by the district.
Where did you get the procedure? Where did you get the procedure to permit you to terminate someone in a one-day period?
I'm going to object to the form of the question. It is very obvious she did not terminate Mr. Olivas. She recommended termination.
The question, sir.
Yes, ma'am. From where did you get your procedure to authorize your recommendation to terminate Mr. Olivas with 3 warnings? Okay, this is your first multi-voice time writing at 120 words per minute. Your proper names are People versus Ortiz, City of Whittier, County of Los Angeles, State of California, Officer Detective Wolf, ETA, Mr. Whitaker, Vehicle Code Section 460. The People v. White, what's that? Calgic? Calgic 1746. 17.46. Fill-ins and Mr. Wolf. I am Ms. Torres.
The court.
Mr. Whitaker.
Ms. Torres.
The court.
Mr. Whitaker. Do we switch?
And it's all colloquy.
Oh yes, it's all colloquy. So we start right here.
So I start?
The court. Well, it starts with the court, right? That's all right. Okay.
All right. People versus Ortiz. Defendant is present with counsel. People are represented. Who is going to be your first witness?
We're going to rest.
Oh, you're going to rest. Okay.
And Your Honor, I need to ask the court to take judicial notice. I don't believe I asked this question, that the city of Whittier is in the county of Los Angeles, the state of California.
I think we can even stipulate if that's a necessity.
All right.
I don't believe, I can't recall asking the question. Also, Your Honor, regarding rebuttal witnesses, Officer or Detective Wolf is on his way here. He contacted me just minutes ago. He went out and took a photo of the alley depicting the chain link fence.
How long will it be?
I could call him right now on his cell phone.
I'm just in terms of letting the jurors relax.
Let me call him on his cell phone and ask him for an ETA.
Okay.
I just talked to him right before coming up here, so
Well, how about the jury instructions?
yeah, then we can do jury instructions.
Mr. Whitaker, did you guys agree to most of the instructions?
Pretty much, yes.
Are there any you disagree on?
Yes.
Make your call.
Sorry. He said about 20 to 30-minute ETA.
Okay. How long do you think it will take to take care of the jury instructions?
10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Well, let's do that now while we're waiting.
Yeah,
Let the jurors go for 20 minutes. Come back at 10.
you want to say half an hour just to make sure?
That shows how much credence you have.
I am going to argue that too.
Tell them about 10:10, and then we can, as soon as they leave, we can sit down and go over jury instructions. Counsel are present. There has been discussion. Counsel have conferred on the jury instructions. And jury instructions based on Vehicle Code Section 460 was offered by the defense. People objected. That instruction will be given. And the people have offered an instruction based on People v. White, and defense objected to that. That instruction is refused. And any other instructions? Instruction on possession is defined in jury instruction.
I'm not objecting to that, Your Honor.
Okay, then I take it's stipulated that aside from those objections and refusals, all the instructions that will be given to the court or counsel agree to all the remaining instructions given to the court, correct?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I think that takes care of that. All right. People versus Ortiz. Defendant is present with counsel. People are represented. All right. As I was going through these instructions, first of all, 2.60 and 2.61, I take it defense is requesting. Is that right? To self-incrimination?
Right.
I'll mark that down as a defense request. I have CALJIC 17.46. It says, jury not to speculate as to partial acquittal by the court. Why do we need that?
Missed it.
That's a mistake.
Okay, let me hand this down to you regarding the gang allegation. On the second page, there are some fill-ins.
Yes.
Whoever has the best printing, would you print in what you two agree should go into those blank spaces? And when we come back, I guess Mr. Wolf is going to be the witness. Is that it?
I'm debating that, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. I thought you had, okay.
Well, I did, and I was, and
All?
also on that, we had the witness sign up, but it should have been the court.
Yes.
So just to make that clarification.
Yes. I was the court. Sorry about that.
Okay, and then let's see. Tyler Whitaker. So then this one, you're the witness on this one, so you're
So you are
Stacy.
Mr. Whitaker.
Oh, there you go.
And then the court.
How did it? Oh, there you go.
I'll be right here.
Okay, this is your second multi-voice time writing at 120 words per minute. Your proper names are Mr. Ma, David Perez, Mr. Perez, Milton, Friends and Wardman, Newland, Pickering, Beverly and Pickering, Milton and Hadley, Seal Beach, Downey, Peoples number 4, A, B, C, D, Whittier, Vadio Locos, Vanessa and Donald, and Mr. Ortiz. Ready?
Let me introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Mr. Whitaker.
The witness?
The court.
Mr. Whitaker.
The witness?
The court.
Ready?
Ready. That's in evidence. I guess you really don't need a stipulation yet. If they contest it, you can move that in, and I will move it in. But 1 through 7 are admitted, and 10 through 13 is admitted. Are you ready for the defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Ma, you may sit up here if you want, right next to the gentleman. Yeah, right there, if you want to. Something may come up and you may want to get his ear real quick. All right. All jurors and the alternates are present. You going to call somebody?
Yes, Your Honor. I call David Perez.
Please stand and raise your right hand to be sworn. You do solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat on the witness stand and state and spell your name for the record.
Excuse me?
State and spell your name for the record.
David Perez, D-A-V-I-D-P-E-R-E-Z.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Perez, can you tell us what your occupation was back on May the 16th of last year?
I was the manager of the apartment building
What apartment building?
at 7332 Milton, and maintenance manager of 6 more complexes.
In 6 more complexes?
Yes.
Which ones are those?
On Friends and Wardman, on Milton, 7222 Milton. I have one on Newland and the complex on Pickering, Beverly and Pickering, Milton and Hadley, and a home in Seal Beach, and a house in Downey.
Okay, now we have some pictures up here showing you Peoples number 4. There's 4 pictures, A, B, C, and D. Are you familiar with those?
The blue is the apartment complex where the vehicle is at.
Okay, and that's the one that you managed?
Yes.
Okay, the blue one. The one with the carports?
Yeah.
And that was last year on May 16th?
Yeah.
You aren't presently the manager there, are you?
No.
Are you presently in custody?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and does that have to do with any gang-related activity?
No. It's a violation.
Have you ever been a member of a gang?
No.
Are you a member of Whittier Vadio Locos?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Do you remember something happening on May 16th of the year 2001 at the residence on Milton?
The incident that occurred,
Okay. What do you recall taking place at that time?
well, I recall waiting for someone to come with an application for the apartments that I was getting ready to rent. As the occupants left, I went back to throw some trash away, papers and so forth, that had accumulated in the apartment to take the note off my door, apartment door, and as I went to the trash can, I noticed the vehicle in the back.
Now, the vehicle, I just showed you a picture. Would that be the vehicle in the picture or a similar vehicle?
Similar. It wasn't as dark as that.
Okay. And when you saw that vehicle, what did you do?
I inquired about whose vehicle it was. It was blocking other vehicles that was parked.
In what? In the carports?
Yes, it was.
Who did you inquire about that to?
Well, the nearest two was Vanessa and Donald.
Donald being Mr. Ortiz?
Yes,
Do you know Mr. Ortiz?
only through his brother.
Here.
Mhm.